In the shadowy corners of history, certain names have become synonymous with terror and death. Uncover the chilling stories behind history's deadliest serial killers, where madness meets malevolence and the line between human and monster blurs. Are you ready to delve into the minds of those who turn murder into their sinister calling? First on our list is the infamous Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper, we call him Jack the Ripper, but the true identity of this monstrous figure remains a mystery. In 1888, London's Whitechapel district was gripped by fear as this elusive killer brutally murdered 5 women, all of whom were prostitutes. Each crime scene was more gruesome than the last, with the killer displaying a chilling level of skill with a scalpel. Theories abounded, with police suspecting a surgeon, butcher, or someone with anatomical knowledge. Taunting letters from the killer only deepened the public's hysteria. Despite numerous suspects over the years, Jack the Ripper's true identity has never been confirmed. Next, we have Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer began his killing spree in 1978 at just 18 years old. His reign of terror continued until 1991, when a potential victim escaped and led police to Dahmer's Milwaukee apartment. What they discovered was a house of horrors, photos of mutilated bodies, body parts strewn about, and a vat of acid for disposing of remains. Dahmer's victims were primarily young men of color, and he claimed 17 lives in total. Dahmer's monstrous acts included not just murder, but also molestation and necrophilia. He was ultimately convicted and sentenced to life in prison, where he was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. Now, let's turn to Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death. Harold Shipman, a trusted physician, is believed to have killed around 250 of his patients. Practicing in Greater Manchester from 1972 to 1998, Shipman's method was insidious. He administered lethal doses of painkillers to his victims, most of whom were elderly women. His crimes went unnoticed for years until an undertaker noticed an alarming number of cremation certificates signed by Shipman. Further suspicion arose when he forged a will to name himself the beneficiary of one of his victims. Shipman was eventually convicted in 2000 and took his own life in prison in 2004. Next, we examine the horrifying case of John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was a construction worker and an active community member known for dressing up as a clown for children's parties. But behind this facade was a ruthless killer. Gacy's downfall began in 1978 when a 15-year-old boy went missing after being seen with him. A subsequent search of Gacy's home revealed the decomposed remains of nearly 30 bodies buried in a crawl space. Gacy's victims were teenage boys and young men, many of whom he lured to his home under the guise of offering them work. He was convicted of 33 murders, along with numerous counts of rape and torture, and was executed by lethal injection in 1994. Next, we delve into the eerie tale of H.H. Holmes, often referred to as America's first serial killer. H.H. Holmes, Chicago has had its share of killers, but perhaps none more haunting than H.H. Holmes, the pharmacist who turned a hotel into a torture castle. Ahead of the 1893 World's Fair, Holmes moved to Chicago and began outfitting a 3-story hotel with all manner of nefarious contraptions. Gas lines, secret passages, trapdoors, hallways leading to dead ends, chutes to the basement, soundproof padding, and torture devices scattered throughout a maze-like structure. Holmes used gas to knock out his guests before subjecting them to gruesome experiments on his surgical tables. He disposed of the bodies in the building's furnace, sold skeletons to medical schools, and engaged in life insurance scams. Holmes confessed to over 30 murders after being turned in by a fellow scammer. He was hanged in 1896, but his story remains one of the most macabre in American history. Now, we turn to Pedro Lopez, one of the world's most prolific and elusive serial killers. Pedro Lopez, known as the Monster of the Andes, Pedro Lopez is linked to more than 300 murders across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. At least a third of his victims were tribal women. Following his arrest in 1980, police discovered the graves of over 50 of his preteen victims. Lopez was convicted of murdering 110 girls in Ecuador and confessed to 240 more murders in Colombia and Peru. Despite his horrendous crimes, Lopez was released in 1998 for good behavior. Since then, his whereabouts have remained unknown, leaving a chilling uncertainty about whether this monstrous figure might still be at large. Finally, we examine Ted Bundy, a name that has become synonymous with American serial killers. Ted Bundy craved attention, and his gruesome acts ensured he got it. Operating primarily in the western United States, Bundy preyed on college-age women from Washington and Oregon to Utah and Colorado. Arrested in Colorado for kidnapping, Bundy escaped custody and continued his killing spree in Florida. His final arrest led to a nationally televised trial where Bundy acted as his own lawyer, giving interviews and relishing the spotlight. Known for his charm and intelligence, Bundy boasted of having fans even as he faced execution. Convicted of multiple murders, Bundy was executed in the electric chair in 1989, but his legacy continues to haunt the annals of criminal history. These stories of history's deadliest serial killers serve as stark reminders of the darkness that can reside within humanity. From the gaslit streets of Victorian London to the rural villages of South America and suburban neighborhoods of America, these killers left indelible marks on society. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the macabre and mysterious. Stay safe and always stay curious.